Hey Zyra, help me introduce this brand new YouTube video featuring us talking about the Sapphire metagame.
Ahoy, fellow Illumineers. Gather round as we dive deep into the dazzling depths of Sapphire, the ink that's shaking up the Lorcana metagame. Is it the ultimate powerhouse, or just a shiny blue distraction? Well, Dom and I are here to break it all down, so grab your brooms, ready your wits, and let's set sail on this Sapphire adventure. Dom, let's get into it.
Let's freaking go, boys! Woo! Ladies and gents, welcome to another video. I'm your boy, TheXploder, and yes, that was my AI assistant, Zyra, that I have actually been training to be a big help with deck building in the world of Lorcana. More information on that coming soon, because I'm still training her and she's a little feisty at times. But yes, today we're talking more about Sapphire. Last time I talked about Belle specifically and gave you my 2 cents on her. If you want to check that video out, I'll put a little pokey thing over here so you can check out that video in a little bit. But we're going to be doing a follow-up talking about how dominant Sapphire and Steel have been, going over a specific deck list that I know has been making rounds around the place on the local scene and the meta scene as well, and going from there. Is this deck really crazy? Are we seeing the most dominant meta in Sapphire? Well, let's find out. So here we are on Dreamborn.Inc. back once again to have a look at something else. Here is a deck list that has been making the rounds here, there, and everywhere. I've seen a bunch of people at my locals using it, a bunch of people at different tournaments at different levels using it, all variants thereof of this deck. And this seems to be the problematic thing that I see a lot of people going goo goo gaga over on social media. So let's have a breakdown and go over why this deck is so damn powerful, one card at a time. Before we even dive into this, big shout to Harlan Sweetie, who is the original creator of this deck. Be sure to find this deck over on Dreamborn. I'll put a link down in the description below, as well as a link to a video that is here on the Dreamborn page, so you can check that out as well with Harlan's breakdown of the deck, how it works and all that jazz. But here we go, breakdown beginning. Starting off with 3 copies of the 1-drop Mulan Disguised Soldier. You play her, when you play her you may draw a card, and then discard a card. Simple as that, cycles things out of your hand that you just don't need, depending on what you're going against. An absolutely fine 1-drop that does the job. Calhoun, I mean, do I need to say anything more about Calhoun? She is an incredible Steel character that has come out in the recent sets. She is dominant. As a 2-drop alone, she's probably one of the best, if not the single best 2-drop in the entire game. I'm even debating with that right now. Because of the fact that she comes in as a 3-2, has resist +1, and when she banishes something in a challenge, you gain 2 lore. On her own, she's huge. Combine that with a little bit of healing tech, if you want to go that way, she could be crazy good. You can basically slap her in any color combination, and she just works. Straight up. So it's scary enough as it is. Then we go to Smee. Probably the other, if not the best 2-drop in the game, debatable with Calhoun as the inkable side of things. Quest for 2, takes 1 damage at the end of your turn if you don't have a captain in play, and that's not the end of the world. At the end of the day, you just want Smee to stay alive, quest, and that's all you want him to do. Nice and easy. Then we have the big sleeper hit. Now, I went against Harlan in the store championships of last set, and we were talking about this, and I completely agree. Alice Savvy Sailor was a sleeper hit for last set. I ended up using her in a hero deck that I made, and I thought that she was absolutely busted. A 3-cost uninkable 1/4 for 2, has ward, and whenever she quests, another character gets +1 lore whenever they quest, and they're given ward, and it's until the start of your next turn. So that's no baboom, no fiver cannons, no bounce techs, none of this, none of that. She just makes the engine go brr. Really good, and an amazing stat line as well. Having 4 willpower makes her really hard to get off board, even if you're doing non-target removal, and it's great. It's just a super good card. Beautifully done, and this is where the scary part of the engine really kicks off. Because if you think about it, If by turn 2 your opponent just slaps out a Smee and is able to quest for 2 next turn, all they need to do is slap out the Alice, and then as of turn 4, once Alice readies herself, if just Alice and Smee are left on board, Alice will quest for 2, give Smee ward and quest +1, quest for 3. That is a 5 lore play with 2 cards on their own with no other assistance, and that in itself can change the entire pace and tempo of a match. 2-card combo that makes it pretty darn crazy. And here she is, the problem child, the big scary girl that everyone goes crazy for, Belle. Apprentice Inventor, a 3-cost inkable 3/3 for 1 lore, and during your turn I can banish an item to then play the character for free. I've talked about her extensively on her own in her own dedicated video, and I said in that video, on her own, she's not a scary character. She's not overpowered. She's not insane. It's the combos you can pull off with her that makes her nuts. And in the end of the day, if you get a 1-drop item, which in this case is Porpsicle and Fortisphere, 2 perfectly good 1-drops in this color combination, this basically means you're almost guaranteed to see a Belle turn 1. This then means you have a big threat on the board that has a big stat line. She immediately can't be removed by cards like Sisu, Rule, or anything like that without some excess cards or excess effects also getting rid of her, which is a big ask. And on top of that, she's a 3-cost, so guess what? That's perfectly in line to sing the songs of the deck, which are Let the Storm Rage On and Strength of a Raging Fire. It makes perfect sense. You're probably not going to use Strength when it's just her on the board, but that's why you have Storm. And Storm is probably one of the best songs in the game anyway. You deal 2 damage, you draw a card, doesn't even matter if you kill the guy, that's not what you care about, but 9 times out of 10 you want to draw that card. Belle is here to help control, so if Alice is here to set pace, Belle is there to control and intimidate as early as turn 1. That's what makes her so scary. That's why her in this color combination, yeah, kind of OP. But like I said, on her own, not that bad. In this combination, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Then we go into the other big card that I believe is a sleeper hit, the 3-cost inkable Wendy. She is a 3/1 quest for 2 ward and support. Are you going to use her support effect a lot? Maybe not, but remember, you're using this alongside Calhoun. So if you have Calhoun on the board, Wendy on the board, Wendy, even if she just quests once, quests for 3, potentially with Alice, she then has support, give that support over to Calhoun, Calhoun becomes a 6/2 with resist 1. That can get rid of the majority of characters in the entire game. There's not a lot of characters that surpass 6 willpower, and the majority of those cards that surpass 6 willpower, you're not going to see a lot of when it comes to competitive and meta play, because that's just where those cards are as of right now. If I'm wrong in that matter, please let me know in the comments if you have been to a tournament or if you have seen meta games that have involved willpower over 6, because 6 is a juicy number, gets over a lot of juicy stuff. This Wendy's very good, but you don't need her all the time. That's why there's only 2 copies of her. She's a great inkable choice if you just don't need her out and you just need to slap some ink down on the board. Very, very good. Then we have Lawrence, a fantastic 3-drop pick. If you've never seen this Lawrence before, 3-cost inkable 0/4 quest for 2. And while this character has no damage, he has +4 attack. So now, not just do you have a guy with quest for 2, he's a 4/4, so immediately he can't be hit by Medusa, can't be hit by Brawl, all of those effects that require a character's attack is lower than a certain number. Lawrence comes in as a 4/4, so he's going to be immune to that, unless you bop him, which is a big ask, because you're going to take 4 damage unless you ping him with something like 5 cannons, grab your sword, twin fire, something along those lines. Lawrence by himself is just a super contender. If push came to shove, he's a 3-drop, so he can sing the songs if you want him to. You don't want to most of the time. And guess what? Works alongside Alice. All of a sudden, Alice, give it to Lawrence. Lawrence quests for 3. He now has ward. The only way to bop it so that he doesn't have 4 attack anymore is to bop it. And crazy, right? Crazy, but not crazy essential. That's a lot of 3-drops if you think about it. So we've got 3-drop Alice, 3-drop Belle, 3-drop Wendy, 3-drop Lawrence, and free drop Pete, so that's a lot of frees. This is a very mid-range heavy deck, so you want to make sure that your frees are in order of the amount of characters you want to see more consistently than others. And as you can see here, we definitely want to see Alice, that's why there's 4 other. We definitely want to see Belle, that's why there's 4 other. For Wendy and Lawrence, they are splash techs that help out in hyper-specific scenarios, and when you don't necessarily need them to quest for 2, and you're very happy to just park through the game, or if you just need that little bit of ink early on, you can slap them down. Absolutely fine. Plus, because this is a mid-range heavy, the majority of your cards are going to be at that juicy free cost spot. So once you see an opponent using this deck and they hit that free cost range with free ink on board, that's where you should be terrified, because this deck is the strongest at free ink. Past free ink, it's all bonus all the time. This is the scary spot. Simple as that. Yes, we talked about not Pirate Pete, Game Referee Pete. I apologize. I have been building a Pete deck that I really love. Keep an eye on the channel, because in the future I will be doing a deck breakdown of the PP deck, or the Pirate Pete deck. I also have a quirky other name for it, but I'm not going to give you spoilers, because that's, well, spoilers. But yes, Referee Pete, a free cost free for 1 lore, drops down onto the board. Play this character. Opponents can't play actions until the start of their next turn, basically shutting down their entire turn if they are action heavy, song heavy, or it comes to that turn when they're about to use things like Storm, like Be Prepared, like Brawl, anything like that, just to shut down their tempo. And then you're left with a free on board. Guess what? You can sing songs all day, he can bop into things, combine it with Wendy, turn him into a 6-3, bop into something big, and you lose nothing, because Pete is absolutely fine at doing that. Fantastic card, one of my favourite free drop cards in Steel in general, makes it very formidable. And as you can tell, just with those 3 drops, 2 drops, 1 drops alone, it's intimidating. But we're not done yet. Yes, everybody's favourite, Flaversham, the 1/6/1 for 4 cost. That has the classic effect: when you play this character and quest with him, banish 1 of your items, draw 2 cards. If you don't see the Belle, you will see the Flaversham. When you see that 4th ink come down and your opponent has the Porpsicle or the Fortisphere on the row, you know that's not going to last long. It's going to go poof. Flaversham's going to come on board, draw 2 cards, keeps your card draw engine going. And this is bearing in mind, the card draw in this deck is quite strong and very reliable, because not just do you have Flaversham on his own to give you 2 cards whenever you banish an item, you have your 4 Porpsicles. When you play Porpsicle, draw a card. Same with Fortisphere. Play Fortisphere, draw a card. So with that alone, you just got your mini draw engine there, and that's all you need. For this mid-range deck, all you need entirely. Then Pluto. I love Pluto. I think he's the best bodyguard in the game, personally. For 4 cost, 1/5 for 1. He's bodyguard, and while this character has no damage, he gets +4. So similar effect to Lawrence. Turns into a 5/5 defensive doggo. And again, this then means your opponent needs to really bop into him in order to do anything. Yes, again, they can hit him with Storm, hit him with Twin Fire, hit him with Fire the Cannons, dink him with a little bit of something that you just don't mind, and who immediately goes back to a 1/5. But that's still 5 willpower you need to get through. Yes, Maui's will immediately be able to charge into this Pluto and get rid of it. But number 1, you'll have to be playing a Ruby deck in order to counter this deck. And number 2, by the time you drop Maui, this deck may just be so highly ahead of you that you have no chance of catching up at this point. If all you're doing on your turn is bashing into a Pluto and you can't bash into things like the Wendy, the Alice, the Lawrence, anything that quests for 2, 3, maybe even more, youch. This Pluto is basically a combination with Pete as a sign of, I'm gonna shut you down. You ain't gonna stop me anytime soon. Simple as. And even then, if Pluto's the only boy on the board, again, he can sing songs. And you know what song he can sing? And then along came Zeus. There's only 2 copies of it in the deck. This is exactly why. You don't even need Pluto to sing it. Flaversham can sing it as well if there are no items on board. These 2 being the ideal 4-drop singers makes everything work for Storm. Again, even with Storm, Strength, Along Came Zeus, makes perfect sense. It's ideal synergy at that level of the game. beautifully done. And the highest level character we have is the 5 cost Cogsworth Grandfather Clock. I love him. I'm sure a lot of you guys love him too. Shift free, but we don't care about the shift because there is no viable shift target Cogsworth, at least currently. And he has ward, so he's fully protected from targets, and your other characters get resist +1. So now Calhoun turns into a resist 2. Combine it with something like Wendy, a 6/2 with resist 2 is probably one of the most scariest things on the board, and that's a perpetual thing. Cogsworth doesn't need to quest, he doesn't need to do anything else. He can just chill out and just let the world resist, and it's absolutely fine. He doesn't need to quest, he doesn't need to sing, he doesn't need to do anything. You see Cogsworth come on board, everyone has resist +1, they can do the hard work. Cogsworth can wait until the board is set up, Alice is maybe set up, Alice pinpoints Cogsworth, Cogsworth can quest for free, he already has ward, but who cares? Big plays, very big plays, and he's only there to secure your mid-range end. Again, just making sure that they're going to be able to bop, stay alive, and keep turning sideways. That's how scary this deck truly is. And that's just for characters, 38 in total, very, very strong. We've kind of gone over the songs, but let's go over them again. We have Let the Storm Rage On for 3 cost, deal 2, draw a card, one of the best steel songs in the entire game, at least in my opinion. Works beautifully well with the mid-range we've got on. Belle and Pete would probably be the main 2 singers of this, but we do have Alice, Wendy and Lawrence if we need to, but highly doubt it. We have Strength of a Raging Fire. The chances of this popping off are very high, because again, I personally feel Strength of a Raging Fire is useful even if it's only 2 damage. Even if it's only 2 damage, he is just as viable, because you've got to remember, it's on the same curve as Let the Storm Rage On. The benefit to Strength of a Raging Fire is that if you don't have the characters out on board to demand doing a big amount of damage if you want to, you can always ink it. Early on, it's a perfect inking option. You can have Strength of a Raging Fire and Let the Storm Rage On, both in your hand at the start of the game. See how your opponent plays, see what cards they're playing, deck they're playing, etc. And once you do, if you feel that you're going to benefit more off of Strength than you do Storm, you could just keep Strength in your hand and play it when it's ready. If you don't have the benefit for it, ink it. You'll get another one. You have 4 in the deck. Perfectly fine. Dominant card. Love it, love it, love it. One of my favorite songs anyway. Then along came Zeus. What else do I need to say? 5 damage on basically anything is cracked. Now you're telling me you deal 5 damage to a character or location, you can sing it with Flaversham, sing it with Pluto, if push came to shove, sing it with Cogsworth. And that's even if you want to sing it. It's 4 cost in a deck that doesn't care about laying down ink every single turn. When you have a decent pool of ink, you can basically just sit on your back hind and just be like, your turn. No, that's how crazy this all is. And Zeus is just there to just shut you down. It can shut down locations, so you've got to bear that in mind. There are a lot of locations that have more than 5 willpower, but you've got to bear in mind, this is 5 damage onto, let's say, an over 5 willpower location. If your opponent playing this deck plays along Came Zeus and targets your location, chances are they have something like Mulan to deal 2 damage and get rid of it. Something like Calhoun, if there's not a character viable target, they'll just bop into your location and get rid of it. They don't mind. A Pete on the board or a Belle on the board will love to just bop your location out of existence. Locations are not free from the domination of this deck. Even outside of Then Along Came Zeus, locations can do quite well. They can be intimidating. Your opponent might sleep on them because, oh, you're only going to get an odd 1 lore here, an odd 1 lore there. I'm not scared. But at the right time, they'll just go, and bop, bop, zap, zap, gone. Because that's just what the deck does, okay? Be scared, be very scared. Then, that's it. We go to our items, we've covered them. Porpsicle, Fortisphere. You draw a card when you play them. For Porpsicle, you can banish it and heal one of your characters for 2 if you need to. 9 times out of 10 you're probably not going to need to, because you have Belle to get her out for free, or Flaversham to draw 2 cards. And the same with Fortisphere, but it's pay 1, banish, turn someone into a bodyguard until the start of your next turn. 9 out of 10 times you're probably never going to use this effect of Fortisphere, so guess what? Another perfect target for Bell, another perfect target for Flavisham. And even outside of those targets, these items are great because they just help you draw cards. And if push came to shove, if you're okay on cards, you don't need the items on board, you don't care about Bell because it's late in the game, just ink him. Ink him, sit back, and relax. And for insult to injury, one of the best locations in the entire game, McDuck Manor. Do I need to say anything else? You don't need to be here, you don't need to look like a duck, you can just play this card and at the beginning of your turn get 2 passive lore. And you may think to yourself, oh, 2 passive lore means nothing. You're telling me that in a deck that has, oh, let's go over it again, 2 on Alice, 2 on Wendy, 2 on Lawrence, just to name the 2s, yet alone 2 on Cogsworth at your mid-range. Bearing in mind, turn 1 can be Mulan, or turn 1 could be a Popsicle into a Bell. Then, turn 2, you're probably looking at a Calhoun or a Smee. Turn 3, if we're on curve, we're looking at an Alice. And then turn 4, if everything's coming up Millhouse, your opponent doesn't have any answers to deal with, you could just sit back, relax, plant down a McDuck Manor, again, grab your hands, put them behind your neck, say yours, and just like grab your drink, have a swig, have a nice chat about how beautiful the day is, and by the time they're done with their turn, you could just tidy your stuff up, walk over to your next game, because it's job done. The consistency of this mid-range deck is insane. You're not looking at anything higher than 5 costs, so if anyone's thinking of doing, World's Greatest Criminal Mind, probably not. Not that I see a lot of people play World's Greatest Criminal Mind, sadly, but it's a crazy deck for crazy reasons, hyper consistent. There's a reason why this color combination is doing so well in the meta right now. But do I think this is the scariest deck I've seen in the meta so far? Let me break that down for you. Do I find the deck scary? Of course I do. It is consistent, intimidating. I've gone over that a few times. Do I think it's the scariest deck in the meta? I think it's up there alongside the other really scary meta decks in general. I think Sapphire Steel is probably the best right now that it has ever been, quite frankly. I feel that Sapphire in general is just strong, because you could put Sapphire alongside any other color scheme, and I think it just brings every other color up. And it's all about combos, to bear that in mind. It is all about the combos you could pull off, mostly the combo that you could do with things like Bell, things like the new Tamatoa, and they're the 2 main cards that are taking the swamp here. And we've been talking about one deck that is a very intimidating deck. This isn't the one-of deck that everyone's playing, I've already said that. This is one of the many Sapphire and Steels that are currently out there, with slight variance here, slight variance there. Some are playing more items with Tamatoa, some are not playing as many items and we're doing more aggressive plays or doing more control plays. The deck in itself is quite loose as to how you want to build it, depending on your play style and the decks that you go against in general. But this is a perfect example as to why it is so intimidating. I think it's not Sapphire Steel that's the scary part. I think it's Sapphire itself that is the scary part, because if you see Sapphire this set at your store championships, big tournaments, etc., that's going to be the color that makes you think twice about what you are going to play next. And this is bearing in mind, like I have told you guys, the deck doesn't necessarily rely on having Bell turn 1 to be an incredible deck. Bell turn 1 would be ideal. It sets up a lot of control potential very early on. But if your opponent does not get the first turn Bell, it is not the end of the world for them, because they still have a lot of options to play with and get out there. It's really nuts. I feel like it's made Sapphire Steel more intimidating. I don't think it's the scariest thing I've seen, by all means. I think I've seen a bunch of scary decks this set from all sorts of different colors in the spectrum. And if anything, I feel as if Sapphire has just been astronomically launched to the moon. I think looking into set 8, it'll be interesting what support Sapphire gets for general deck tech, because set 7 has definitely helped Sapphire a lot. It's helped Steel a lot, but it definitely helps Sapphire so much to a point where you're seeing every color known to mankind combining with Sapphire to do something nuts. Even if it's puppies. Puppies have Sapphire tech. Freaking doggos. But in the end of the day, these are all my thoughts. They're not your thoughts, they're mine. So let me know what your thoughts are over in the comments, or feel free to message me on my social media channels. All of them are down in my description below. And heck, if you let me know your thoughts about Sapphire Steel or anything involving Sapphire in the comments or anywhere else, you could feature in a future video, because I might just do a follow-up to this one with all of your guys' responses to this, so that we can go over everything, give you my 2 cents and all that jazz. So if you want to participate, go and do that now, and so you can participate potentially in a future video. But in case you're interested, I've already had some people already participate for this video, and here are their thoughts.
I just think that Sapphire is lacking in broom action, and until that improves, it won't really be viable in the meta.
And that is that. Thank you for the guys who did participate to give me their 2 cents on the Sapphire meta and whether it is scary for them or not. Let me know yours in the comments and in my socials, like I've already said as well. And I'll be seeing you guys for another Lorcana video or video here on this channel. Stay safe, stay awesome, but most importantly, stay explosive. And I'll be seeing you guys next time. I feel the only thing scary right now is that I really need a dump and I know someone's in the toilet. If you don't hear from me in a while, you might know why. See you next time.